Hi, everybody. Good morning. And thank you so much for all of you to come to a new place today. And this is the Voice of Silence episode number 28. And we have with us this gorgeous woman sitting here, Deepti Rishi, who is our 28th speaker. Yes, a very big applause to our 28th. Thank you. This is season 2 of Voice of Silence. She is going to be talking about voice of self-love. Now, before I go ahead, I would like to say a few things. Let me take your attention to a movie which is Dil Dhadakne Do. We've seen it. Most of us would have seen the movie Dil Dhadakne Do by Zoya Akhtar, starring Priyanka Chopra. Can I take your attention to the scene where she wants to divorce her husband? And her mother-in-law is sitting and Ranveer is saying, all these people are sitting. क्या तुम्हें माँ बाप नहीं है ना क्या तुमको पैसे नहीं देता है क्या तो उसका पैर चल रहा है वो तो पे फिर क्यों डिवोर्स देना चाहती उसको there was that scene and she is like sitting Priyanka Chopra, so not Priyanka Chopra but a character in the movie who's apparently very successful and confident is still sitting like timid कि नहीं नहीं मम्मी नहीं मारता नहीं पर मुझे प्यार नहीं है इससे there's that scene. Why am I talking about that scene is because we are all Indian women here, and I think I can speak on our behalf, including myself, that that situation is actually pregnant with the fact that women, in India especially, are somehow very conveniently looked at as the inferior bit of the gender, especially this where it's almost like a favor that if none of those things are being done to you, then we'll be happy. I feel that, and I've been there too, because there was a time when I was getting my divorce and I was asked the same questions by my mother-in-law. Now, the point is, what we will be discussing today is how we are numbed because of so much of conditioning of Indian women. We don't even wake up, even being so empowered and so independent and so intelligent and so gorgeous. We are still numb to these things, and we take a while, and in Deepti's case, almost 2 decades to wake up to self-love. That's the story for today, and that's going to be the voice. With that, let's again welcome Deepti Rishi, everybody. Thank you for agreeing to do this, Deepti.
Yeah.
And like always, it's always a good idea to set a background. I know that a lot of people here know you, but for the audience that is going to be watching you on TV, on YouTube, we need to set a foundation. So if you could just quickly take us through your childhood, your family, and even your marriage. That story.
So I was born to an army family, and like most army families, brought up to believe in yourself, independent. Independent also because I was the youngest of 3 siblings. And by the time I came, there's lots happening in the family already, and my mother was trying to pursue a career. So I kind of got brought up with the rest of them, like, pal gaye types. That's what my mother says, that pata bhi nahi chala when you grew up. And in that, I think a lot of the growing up was with, with my brother, who kind of instilled in me all the independence. Kar lena, kya problem hai, you can do it. And also what I didn't want, which was my sister. I love her to death, but she was the crybaby of the house, the eldest one, and always needed some help. So I was like, she cries so much. She's such a whiny person. My parents always are stressing over her. That's one person I don't want to be. So it became that, be happy, be, if there is a problem, deal with it, move on. So don't cry about it, don't cry about it. And talk about it. Yeah. Take it in. Yeah, move on. Solve it. Ask, ki theek hai, kar lu, all that, and just move on with it. So it was never that, it was instilled that it's all okay to have problems. You will always have problems. But just move on now. I mean, एक ही चीज के ऊपर बैठ के कितना रहोगे types, So that was my childhood, and I think the childhood continued till marriage because I got married at 21. A lot of times I say that I got married to the love of my life, but I think I got married now, and I think back, I think I got married because I was bored, and I didn't really have have a long career to think of at that time. So
चलो शादी कर लेते
चल शादी कर लेते हो, अच्छा तो है बंदा.
हाँ कर लेते
तो कर and similar background, Fauji family, so सब कुछ अच्छा ही होगा type. Unfortunately वो सब कुछ अच्छा नहीं था. That background may have been similar, but the family was very, very, very patriarchal. My father-in-law was be all and end all of every decision that got made in the house.
superseding your husband as well. Like there was
Anyone.
anybody.
I mean, there was no question of saying no to him. Okay, so and then he had his ways of getting his way, because then if you ever said why this and why not that, then he was shut off. You're like, you don't exist for the next many days till you actually go and apologize and say, okay, we'll do exactly what you're saying, right? This also went on to when I got pregnant. I got pregnant very early, quite by accident. 22, career wasn't set yet. So the decision given to me was, please go and get rid of the baby. You're too young.
Who sent this to you?
My father-in-law.
Why is that? I thought that is some once चलाना है आगे.
But
वो नहीं था.
वो नहीं था. वो, see, at the heart of it, according to him, he had our best interest at heart. You're too young, you don't have financial independence, so to speak. So you're not ready to have a baby, so please go and abort it. Now the point was that, what about me? Do I really want to do that? My baby, my body, all of that. Do I want to do that? That doesn't matter. It is what you need to do. When I asked my husband, what do you want to do about it? He was like, I don't know, I'm confused. That confusion also came from the fear of the father, right? And then I was like, I went to the gynae and all of that. I decided that I want to keep this, because the gynae said, we can go ahead and terminate, but it's a matter of chance. Baad mein hoga, nahi hoga, pata nahi. So I'm not taking that chance, man. So let's keep it. So then the father-in-law's decision was, okay, if you want to keep it, you please leave my house, because, in my house only my things meri chalegi. So aap please nikal jao. So my husband and I were searching for houses when I was 3 months pregnant, trying to figure out whether our finances meet.
Deepti, but I have a question here. So you just spoke about your childhood, being the youngest sibling, and pal gaye bad gaye sabke saath. Then you move into a marriage, into a family that you were saying was based out of patriarchy. I'm assuming you've not even mentioned your mother-in-law. I'm assuming she was suppressed. Assuming
not. So
can I assume?
No, you can assume, and it was true also, because my mother-in-law got married at 17, and I don't think she ever grew from being 17.
Yeah.
She was constantly, even till I left, she was 17.
Yeah.
So,
room for growth.
No room for growth.
But ये सब जब चल रहा था, when you were told, आप चल जाओ अभी, या आप abort करो, you have to abort right now. So that time, there was no voice in you at all that kind of revolted that ये कुछ गलत हो रहा है. और it was just जैसे childhood में था वैसे यहाँ पर भी है, ऐसे ही होता है, तब तक भी वैसे ही, that's how it was going on. So like a similar trend going on in your psyche.
When I look back, at that time the only revolt was self-protection, that I wanted to protect the baby and me. But is what that man doing wrong? That never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind. I said, ये तो घर में ऐसे, इस घर में तो ऐसे ही चलता है, तो ऐसा ही है. This is how we are supposed to live. So it was never a question that is what is happening wrong. No, it was more, let's move on. Jo ho raha hai, to sort this out, what do I need to do? I need to protect. So that was about how it went.
So here I think my input would be that at a very young age of 21, 21 में तो कुछ भी नहीं पता होता life में. You get married, you can still give a little benefit of doubt to you. And again, it's not like kuch galat sahi hai. What I'm saying is benefit of doubt of not having visited yourself or introspected to even figure out there's something going wrong, right? My question now next to you is, chalo, tab tak theek hai, bade hain, father-in-law hai, and yes, we are, let's face it, we are used to a patriarchal society. Even today, it exists everywhere in very invisible ways, but it does. You moved out, you're looking for houses. How is your husband with you? We don't need to get into the gory details, but we still need to, whatever you can share with us, that this is what was going on and still you were, जो आपने बोला अभी ऐसा ही होता है. What were the incidents? Some of them that you would like to share, Deepti?
So, over a period of time, I think after my son was born, because, we went and apologized, and my husband had this major crying fit. I apologized for the fact that I'm not listening to you, and I've decided to keep my baby. My husband apologized that, I'm sorry that this is more important to me than your decision. So
ridiculousness. I'm not feeling that today.
But today I feel it. At that time, I think it was more self-preservation. कि अच्छा ये कर लो so that I can have this baby in peace. Yeah. So that happened, and then over a period of time, I think. So we moved away. I moved to Calcutta with my husband, and I thought that things are gonna sort itself out. But as things started growing, that patriarchy started to show in my husband, right? And with everything that was my son, it was my fault. So if he's trying to sit up and he falls back and he hits his head, it's your fault. Like, can't you be careful? If he's fallen sick and he has fever, what were you doing? Yeah, how can he fall sick? So it started to become a constant think of it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. And yes, big time. Because then I started to feel that maybe it is my fault. And then the two of us started growing distant while I started spending more and more and more time with the child, and with, I was trying to get the house in order. So my role became all about look after the child, ensure that nothing goes wrong. And I used to be fear, I hope he doesn't fall sick. I hope this doesn't, not for the child, but the fear of getting belittled. Okay, that it tumhari galti hai. And then obviously because of medical issues and a lot of other stuff, I started putting on weight. I was very comfortable in certain clothes that I wore that were not considered sophisticated or nice enough. So it was more like, I don't want to take you out because you're an embarrassment. And that started, like, he started to talk about, look at the way you're dressed, look at what you're, so don't wear saris because it makes you look very old. Don't wear makeup because you look like a whore. Don't wear, he used to say, yeah. He said that. Every time I wear a sari, I say, you're looking so old, yeah. Change. Well, I'm going to change, wear something else. Then if I'm wearing makeup.
Need to make a point here. Adi Chakravarti. So the husband, we're trying to distinguish. There are times now because this is the platform for that, where we understand that things will still be said, but what is the intent behind them? So there are times when I'm wearing a pair of jeans and I will go in front of Adi, my husband, who I love. I'll be like, how is this looking? He will say, your ass is looking very big in there, dude. But it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Because I also have been subject to body labeling. And I'm asking you today, it's not the same thing, right? Somebody, like women, we tell each other, ass bahut bada lag raha hai, yaar, you're looking very big in this, please change it. But somehow you don't think that. Then there is like, you are a damn embarrassment. There is a difference. I hope that point is coming through today. Women know it. Women, even men know it. Everybody knows when we are being belittled.
Yeah.
And you're saying you knew you were being belittled. It was not out of love or respect. It was out of his image or whatever.
His image. So I think he and the family felt that they married below their standards. And so that's why every time what I wore was like one big torture for me. I would not want to go out with them because it would always be like, oh God, abhi kya pehna hai? Should I wear like a, because my in-laws expected me to wear chiffon sari and pearls and stuff, which was too old for me. I was like, what, 25, 26, less than 30 at that time. That didn't strike me as the outfit I wanted to wear. My husband, like I said, saris were too old, makeup was too whorish, suits pehno to benji, trousers pehno to you look like a man. Arey bhai, pehnu kya phir? Wo to bata do. So, I mean, I was even ready to say, okay, you tell me what to wear. You take me out shopping. वो भी नहीं करना है. I don't have time for all this. Why should I? You go figure it out yourself. And so, over a period of time,
I can't imagine, like, and I know a lot of women go through it, yeah, with the child, with feeling like this, it's patriarchy, it's misogyny, it is disrespect, it's lack of love. It is everything that's not supposed to be. But you were blind to it.
I
To a large extent.
yeah, because I started to believe that that was true. I started to believe that I was too fat and being fat was ugly, that I didn't know how to dress. So I used to ask my friends to help me out, design my clothes and stuff like that. Now, there's a particular incident, and I was very apologetic about the way I was, right? So there was this incident where I could see that my husband had eyes for my friend, right? And what was going on, I didn't know till quite late. But I knew that there's something going on because of the way he would be with her, and how that would contrast with the way he would be with me. And so we all went. Calcutta has this posh pub called Tantra. So we went there, and there's this whole lot of, there's a Tantra club and there's Tantra. So we're like, it's Tantra club people. So we were all standing there, and the friend that we'd gone with, she was giving attention to some other men, and being single, she was getting a lot of male attention. And the man, I could see, was visibly furious and jealous because of that attention. So I was trying to get him away from there, and I said, okay, why don't we go have a drink? He just turned to me and he says, F off, okay? And this is 1 o'clock in the night, and I was disturbed. And I said, okay, if that's what you want. I just left. I left the place. I went outside to Park Street, took that Kalipili taxi, went back home, and I went to sleep. The two of them returned around 4 o'clock. She called me up at that time. She said, I can't return home without you because my parents will be upset. So can you accompany me? I was like, okay. So I got up at 4 o'clock. I went, I dropped her home, came back. And the next morning we had a massive fight. And the fight was not about the way he treated me, but about why did he treat me like that? From his side, it was about the why. I said, look at yourself. You're so repulsive. I don't feel anything inside. So I'm bound to go outside. Correct yourself and things will be fine. And I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Again?
Yes, again.
Dude!
I did. Yeah. So yeah, I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry for being the way I am. And I'm going to try my best to lose weight, and I'm going to try my best to look sexy, all of that shit. But yeah, I mean, even then, it didn't feel that what he was doing was wrong. It was still that galti meri hi hai. So there was no feeling that but I'm gorgeous. Even though when I used to look into the mirror, I say, what is wrong with this? Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I look so pretty. But when I used to look at, when I used to hear him, I said, maybe kuch hoga hi gadbad hui hogi. So, I mean, it was just that I was not being able to come to terms with what what is the feeling? What am I actually feeling?
That's why I said numb.
Yeah.
A lot of most of us are, most Indian women are just, I'm telling you, including myself, numb. And when you wake up, then you're like, what the hell has been going on? You suddenly wake up, and that time you're not ready to the society. When I say pretty, you're not acceptable suddenly. When you wake up, no, there's like हर जगह से कि ये everybody tries again to kind of suppress you, you know, कि नीचे जाओ तुम वापस. But there was this one incident going ahead. Would you be comfortable talking about it? This may be a little disturbing to people who don't know about it, but there was an attempt to
Yeah. So my in-laws came back to live with us. All this was happening while they were not with us, right? So they came back to live with us, and things plummeted even further. Now I kind of became my mother-in-law's babysitter. So I had to take her around everywhere. Walk pe ja rahi hai, to I have to go with her. So I was like the chaperone or the escort or the maid or whatever you call it. And then, my father-in-law had just retired. So there was this, I guess he was going through depression. I don't know, but I guess he was. So there was this whole thing about, we have to be very conservative about our money. Somehow, ऐसे लग रहा था कि बस हम तो streets पर ही आ गए हैं. Because my father-in-law is retired, I was working, my husband was working, he was getting his pension, but हम ना दिमाग से गरीब हो गए कि हम बड़े गरीब हो गए. So, I mean, there was even this incident that my father-in-law was making monthly budget, and he said that, we will get so much of fish. Your mother-in-law will have 2 pieces. Your husband will have 2 pieces. You will have 1, and I will have 1. And I'm like, good logic. But why will I have 1? What if I want to have more than that? So, but I just couldn't say that to him. I said, okay, fine. So I will have 1 piece of fish. Whether I like fish or not, that's not important. But the point is, I am there. Why 1 piece for me? But anyway, so that passed. And, over a period of time, this continued. And I was just boiling inside constantly. Why am I always the one? Why am I made to feel like a maid? So we utho 6 baje. There is a full-fledged maid, entourage that is there in the house. लेकिन सुबह 6 बजे उठ के मम्मी पापा को चाय पिलानी है. उसके बाद भले सो जाओ. But I was like, acha, okay, never mind. So this continued, and there was some incident that happened which I can't really recollect the incident that happened, but that was that last straw. I used to have an aquarium in the house, and that was a constant bone of contention with my father-in-law. क्या है, useless है, क्यों रखा है, मर जाती है मच्छी, ये हो जाती है, वो That was my only thing in the house that was mine. Now, one of the machis died, and I had gone with my mother-in-law. We brought back the blackfish. I still remember it was a blackfish that died. And he again started off, just wasting so much money, this, that, all the other. Something just snapped. It just snapped. And that was the time my son was about 3 years old. And I told my maid, take this aquarium away. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it right now. And it was like a large aquarium, so just emptying it out, and I was screaming. And the first thing I did was to go to my mother-in-law's cabinet. She had sleeping pills. So I emptied out the whole small box. I still remember she used to keep it in one of those Kodak film roll cup boxes, those black wale, this thing. So I had about half of that because it was सिर्फ half ही थे. पूरे होते तो शायद मैं पूरे ही खा लेती. So I had that, and then that was it. Then I slept. And I slept and I slept and I slept for 2 days. Your intention was? My intention was to kill myself. I just snapped. It wasn't about the black fish. It was about something that I just couldn't understand. I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand why I was doing it, but I just didn't want it anymore. Now, also remember that through all of this, I had not spoken to anybody, including my parents. Why I didn't speak to my parents was like, I was like, yeah, going back to the fact that they already have so much to deal with my sister. Why do they want? Why should I bother them? So this happened, and 2 days later, when I woke up, my maid was very fond of me. So she was constantly giving me water, making sure that I was okay. So 2 days later, when I woke up and she was like very happy and all of that, um, I saw that my mother-in-law had shaved her head. Um, I was like, what happened here? And this was like, you put us through so much tension that she had no option but to shave her head. I was like, oh my God, what drama, man. And from there on, for the next 2 weeks, I was like invisible in the house because my father-in-law wouldn't acknowledge my presence in the house. It was like, Papa chai piyoge. That was the whole this thing.
Did anybody come to you to say, Vita, why did you do this?
No,
Not even a mention.
no, nobody asked me why.
Point in time, Deepti, how were you feeling? Were you feeling hello? Were you feeling helpless? Were you feeling angry, resentful, bitter, hatred?
None of all those things. I just wanted it to be over. Like, I just wanted to move on. And I was feeling upset with myself. Yes. And you know what? After 2 weeks, when my father-in-law finally spoke with me, I had to ask him, I said, what's the problem? Why are you not talking to me? So he said, after you woke up, you didn't even apologize to us for what you put us through. I was like, see, oh, yeah. And I apologized. Yeah, I apologized. All over again, I apologized. And now when I think back, I was like, there is a person who has a 3-year-old child. She's ready to give up everything. But all you can say is, you put us through stuff? I mean, like, wow. So after that also, I just went on with things. Shukar hai, everything. Now he's talking to me, so there is calm in the house. But even then, it was not like, somebody talked to me about what I am going through, man. Why did I do it? And years later, I found out that, and this was my maid telling me that during those 2 days, or immediately when they found out that I had done this, the first instinct was not to call a doctor to the house or take me to a hospital, but it was more to rummage through my things to see if I left a note that would incriminate them, or to see, like, is there something to be afraid of? So that's how they dealt with it.
I'm just going to take a moment here.
Yeah.
First up, I think another round of applause for Deepti. And I'll tell you why. Of course, she's talking about, she is the voice of self-love, which you're going to come to soon. But for a woman to, dude, it's not easy. She's talking about it openly, that, mujhe tab bhi nahi samajh mein aaya. She's not trying to claim that, no, but for this, for that, which again, a lot of women do. That, yeah, no, they were nice, yeah, they looked up to me. They might just make up lies also in their heads. That, nahi, ye hua tha. You are saying it as it is. Yes, it may be, well, in my perspective, a little late, but maybe not in yours. Maybe this is your life now. You're going to kill it, which you are already. But the point is, the waking up happens when it does. It's not age-related. It's not age-related at all. Deepti, sincere thanks to you for being so open, candid, accepting. Yes, I went and apologized.
Yeah.
And all of us, including you, are seeing the numbness and the blindness. But thank you, because I'm sure a lot of women here, me, and a lot of people are going to watch, including men, including fathers-in-law. Fathers-in-law?
Yeah.
हमेशा गड़बड़ होता है. It's father-in-laws or fathers-in-law. But they're going to watch this. Hopefully कोई change होगा. या किसी के साथ चल रहा है ये, तो भैया उठ जाओ अपने बच्चों के लिए. moving ahead. This woke you up. Let's go to the point where you finally decided, you can build up to it, that you decided to even move away from your husband, ex-husband. What was leading up to that and what happened?
So I think a lot of the awakening came because of the jobs that I was doing and the fact that I was doing well in my jobs. Okay. When I started to really dedicate myself to work and say that, okay, I need to build my own identity, the fact that I got a lot of love, a lot of appreciation, and a lot of acknowledgement for who I was. I mean, I know that I was always seeking validation from my family, but I got that validation from the work that I did in the workplace. And in the workplace, when I started to shine and, my self-worth went up. And I started to feel that I do have what it takes to be independent.
And at this point, did you ever, the Purana Deepti, and because I've gone through it, that's why I'm asking, you're doing well, people are actually giving you your due. You're due, nothing more, nothing less. You're due. But the old person is like, nah, this is not right. No, I'm not this. Because you're coming from a certain place of inferiority maybe, or a complex or self-doubt. Did that happen with you for some time that, nee, I'm not worthy of all this pain?
No,
It would not?
no, it didn't.
So
I'll also tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I started living two lives. So there was this, so I was compartmentalized. There was a different person at home. And Chika, my friend who's sitting here, once told me, she says, you are two different people. You're a different person at home. You're a different person in office. And I was. At home, you hardly caught me talking. It was, my son and I would bond and we would giggle. We would do things and we would go out during weekends and, go out for lunches and this thing. He was my date. He still is my forever date wherever I want to go. Holidays together and all of that. So the two of us started to bond. But outside of his room, I was this quiet person. I took up painting because painting means I have to keep quiet. Painting with a glass of wine and, just sit and read book. Oh, I used to read so much. Sit in a corner, read. I used to phase out everything. So it didn't this thing. But when I came out, and when I was in office, I was a different person. Totally different person, which was the real me. And that's where somewhere modesty is not in my dictionary kind of, lines came up and I am my favorite. And all of these things became quintessential with me. So anybody who knew me would say, she's her own favorite. I was like, I am. And that's how I think my self-esteem built up. And I got the strength. But the incident that kept, I was already receding, but that same last straw, I used to always think that my son and my husband were bonding, so I should, let them be and all that. But what I didn't realize was that when you're with a narcissist, it's not just with the woman, but also with anyone around, it will come through, right? And it started coming out with my son. By the time he was in class 9, that adolescence phase, he became a rebel, very little, always grunts instead of words were there. And he started being disruptive in school. So we went for this one PTM and it was very embarrassing. Because till then, it was always, he's such a nice boy. And suddenly, what has happened to him? He is arrogant and he is disruptive and he does this and he does that. The school was really very nice because they said, we want to work with you to make him better. So I was like, yay, let's do that. But the man sitting on the other side, we went home, there's this major blast and he said, you're an embarrassment to me. And the moment he said, you're an embarrassment to me, that's where it all came back. I said, I was an embarrassment to him. Now he is an embarrassment. He'll do the same thing to him. And he said, from here on, I want to have nothing to do with your PTMs. I can't go through that humiliation. So it's like, go away. And in all of that, he used to continue to talk about my son Suraj in the third person, or like, that boy, this boy, always. And now I realize that, whenever I talk to my son, that why are you so angry with him? He said, do you realize how he used to speak to me? And that was when the bond between me and Suraj became tighter. And then we started talking that why are you doing this, Ma? Why are you sticking here? And I was like, yeah, why am I sticking here? Let me question that. Do I love this man? No. The answer was a big, real, resounding no, I don't love this man. And I would give a lot of credit to Suraj for asking me those questions, even in class 9, class 10, when he was still growing up. I think he grew up too soon, and that's one of my regrets, but that's all right. He started asking me questions, and I started asking myself those questions. And then it was like, is it even worth it? It's not. It just isn't worth the effort, because it's not going to change. And, we did have a fallout. Like in 2011, I remember I had left home because he said, do it this way. This is my house, or else leave. I said, okay, I will leave. And I left. And, but there's this, going back to Dil Dhadakne Do, that family conference, same thing happened in my place, where my parents were called in. They were insulted. My husband even told my father, General Rishi, you are a liar. And I said, I was keeping quiet because I knew that if I also flared up, things would just go out of the way. But then he cried and he wanted me back. And I said, okay, oh my God, he wants me back. It was all okay for 6 months, back again to square one. Right? So, and that's when I think I made up my mind that I want to leave. Yeah.
What was the deciding factor, finally, when you were like, I'm out? And you cut and dried, like, out?
I can't really say it was an incident. It was over a period of time. But the time that I told my husband was in 2016. We bought a house like in the wilderness, somewhere called Taruera, which is like 65 kilometers from here. And that was supposed to be a weekend home. But the man suddenly decided that we're all going to move there. He decided, okay, you have an 18-year-old boy in the house who's going through class 12 board exams, but you've decided that we're going to move there. Internet is a question there. Travel is a question there. For everything, right? But we are going to move there. I was like, but I don't want to move. And I used to work a shift of 12 to 9. I was like, at 9 o'clock, how will I go back home? It's a 2-hour drive back home. How? Oh, you can always stay with my parents who used to live close to my place of work. I was like, okay. And when it was February, we all know that when children are in class 12, you don't even breathe in the house. Okay, you don't do anything. Life comes to a standstill. But the exams were to start on 3rd of March, and the man decides to up and move on the 28th of February. So this boy is trying to study, and there are like packers and movers coming in and going out and all of that. This was after I had told him that I'm done, because I didn't want to move. And I was like, how do you take unilateral decisions like this, which impact so many of us, and you just say this is okay? No, it's okay. It's going to be a great life. It's going to be a great life for whom? And how do you decide that it's going to be a great life? So that was my last bit when I told him. Then again, there was family conference where I said, this time around, I'm not inviting my parents over to be humiliated. So same thing, my in-laws asked, but what is the problem? You have such a lovely house. He's such a simple man. I was like, yeah. I said, but I don't love him. I had the courage to say that I don't love him. After which, that kind of stuck with him, that I don't love him. So the day that I was supposed to be moving, the day prior to that, he came home in a complete rage. Complete rage. This was the day before the last exam of my son. And one thing led to another, and he started to beat me up, like properly beat me up. First pushed me, held my hands, spat on my face, slapped me, pushed me against the wall and kept slapping me. I had a bit of a problem in my nose after that, and my nose was bleeding. All of that. Somehow I managed to push him out of the house, and lock the house and lock the door and everything. About 10 minutes later, my father-in-law comes in, because they used to live in the next building. And I saw a version of my father-in-law I've never seen before. So tender, so sweet, so nice. We will take care of it, bacha. Don't worry, bacha. Everything will be fine. I was like, huh? What is happening here? It was basically to ensure that I don't go and complain, right? And again, I had my friend over. She helped me calm me down. When Suraj came home, he'd gone for no. He didn't witness me being beaten up. Yeah, but I had cleaned up myself because he had an exam the next day, and I didn't want anything to impact that. So he came home and he saw that, the frames were broken. There's glass here and there, and there was this look on my face. He said, "What happened?" I said, "No, your father had come. He beat you up." I said, "No, just." Anyway, he went through the entire, the entire exam and everything. I went to pick him up after the exam. And the first thing, when he opened the door, he sat down. He said, "The exam went great. Now tell me what happened yesterday. Did he beat you up?" And I can't think that he went through the economics exam with that in mind. But yeah, I mean, and the next day we moved out, and we made sure that we didn't give the address to where we were moving and all of that, because I didn't want to go through it. We used to meet outside, and there were days when these conversations with my husband were so volatile that my son would stand in front of me and he says, "You want to beat anybody? Try me." Because they're both the same size and the same height. He said, "Try me, try me, try me." It was like, this is stuff that you see in the movies. You don't go through it yourself. You don't think that you go through it yourself. But that was happening.
Just take a moment here.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm just very sorry that all this happened with you. I'm sincerely sorry. I don't think anybody deserves to go through any of this shit. Anyone, for that matter. And I'm sorry this happened with you. At the same time, I'm very glad that you've come out of it. I wish we could go back and undo it. And neither am I going to get spiritual and say, "But see, it taught you so much." No. I'm sorry. This shit, no. It's a big no. No. We don't have to go through this to realize our worth. Things need to change. That's why we are here. We need to wake up to who we are. And Deepti, I think you're a beacon for that. Thank you. And look at you. I mean, there is zero victim, and also it takes guts, which now actually brings us to the most important part of why we are all gathered here, is that now you will tell us then, how did you, having gone, कुछ बचा तो कुछ नहीं बचा ना, कुछ बचा इस कहानी में, कुछ बचा है, बस इतना बहुत है. Bloody hell, man. So you've been through pretty much everything. And today you're here talking about it. And please address the stage is yours. From here, I mean, take us through, you've taken us through all of that. Today, how is your life? It's been a while. It's been about 6-7 years now. 7. What would you like to say? How did you first build yourself up, back, or from scratch, whatever you want to call it? And if somebody's going through it, has gone through it, is about to go through it, and I'm certain a lot of us here are going through some parts of it. मैं अपने खून से लिख सकती हूँ. I can write it down. So please tell us.
Okay, so I had two things that made it easy for me. One, I was financially independent, though my husband gave up on supporting my son through his education, and I had to do that totally on my own. But and supporting education of a boy who wants to go abroad and that's his dream is tough, but you got to do it. So a lot of it was because I was financially independent, one, and two, I had a lot of support from my family. That is, my parents stood by me like two pillars, that I could lean on. Friends, a lot of them are here. Yeah.
It's okay. I think we need friends. I've always said this, friends are, because we choose our friends. They are not default. We choose our friends. They're just like us. I will take. I know I'm just not praying. But thank you. We'll take a moment here. Even I'm feeling a little this thing. I don't know what we'll do without friends. Thanks. Even I owe a lot to my friends.
I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And this is good. This is great. Thank you for being vulnerable here.
Yeah.
Can we have a glass of water?
Water. Okay.
Awesome.
We're good. Good. Very good. Sand my makeup. Okay. So yeah, I had a lot of support. So that made it easier. Also, I think the numbness helped, because over a period of time, so it didn't happen in a snap, right? I had decided, like, this tattoo was the time that I decided that I wanted to just leave, and this was on my 40th birthday. By the time I finally left, it was another couple of years. So, I'd already numbed myself to that. That pain wasn't there anymore. And this whole thing of, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm better than this. I'm better than this. So it didn't take too much to snap out of it, because I was already living that life for half the day, right? And the other half, it was easier to let go of the other half, because that was the toxic half. Yeah. So, you know what is strange? I stopped painting after I left. Completely stopped painting. The last painting that I did was the year that, I left. And after that, I haven't painted. I just never felt like it, because that was my crutch at that time. Yeah. So it wasn't like a snap that, okay, I need to change and all of that. But like I said, friends helped. I started to go out more. I started to explore things more. I nearly went into being an alcoholic, because when my son left for college, I came back home to an empty home for the first time in my life. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So I used to drink myself to sleep. And then came Game of Thrones. So I used to drink and watch Game of Thrones and then go to sleep. So Nayoti helped.
I was going to say,
Right.
very nice.
So yeah, I mean, it took some time. Again, I did find a man through online dating, which was strange. But he helped a lot. He was a complete antithesis of what I've been used to. The first time we went on a holiday, and I was like, I want to wear a bikini, but I'm so like, so ugly. I can't, I'm fat. He's like, you want to wear a bikini? Wear a bikini, man. I was like, so, oh yeah, that's another way of thinking about it.
Exactly.
And, so my body positivity, a lot of it was something that he pushed. And he started to appreciate no matter what I wore, it was like, oh man, you look sexy. Oh man, you're gorgeous. And I'm like, yeah, I am. So a lot of it came from that. And remember, even now, it's a lot of external validation that is happening. But that is also happening because now if somebody says this is not looking good, I'm like, I don't care. I'm still going to wear it. So that's just how it is.
I think your awareness is very. We need to learn from it and appreciate it. It's a next level of awareness. You are in that zone. It's awareness. Like you're aware. Hey, external validation. But at the same time, it's not entering your psyche to a place where it's affecting you.
Yeah, it isn't. And but I do want to point out one thing. When COVID hit, at that time I became very raw. And I'll tell you why I became raw, because over a period of 4 years, I had used a lot of external influences like friends, parties, work, interaction, to kind of suppress maybe the trauma that I went through in terms of the physical trauma. Never really talked about it. But suddenly when COVID hit and I was stuck at home, there was no external influence to pile up and keep this hidden. And suddenly I went into severe depression. And even though I like to say that I shaved off my head because I couldn't find hair dye, and lie. But I just needed to get out of something, try something different, break
like
free and release. Yeah, some release, and that helped. And also took my focus away, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to seek therapy. Seriously, I had sought therapy earlier, but there's nothing to say anything about the expertise. But I was able to manipulate my therapist into hearing what they wanted to hear. So that's not really good. But finally, I found a therapist who was able to get through to me. I was able to open up. And I think that helped a lot. The biggest thing which I learned during this phase was that it's okay to feel. So all this while, I never allowed myself to feel. Okay, what am I feeling in that moment did not matter. How am I going to deal with it, and what is the problem solving, solution to it? Next, grow. So that feeling, I never allowed myself to feel. But now, and that's again a conversation that I have with my son constantly. Now, when I go through something, I talk a lot to myself about what am I feeling in this situation. When you allow yourself to feel, a lot of times the solution that you come up with will be different.
Yes.
Will be different.
Yes.
You will not apologize.
Yes.
Yeah?
All the cells of your body will agree. They will just agree.
This.
Yes.
Let me feel this and then look for a solution. Stay here. Grief is another thing. We don't grieve. We're like, stay strong and let's go on ahead. Why stay strong? Break now. It's okay to break. It's okay to break down. It's fine. Be there. Break down. Feel it. Then move forward. We don't do that. I think so. This has been my biggest learning, that be there for your own feelings. So that's one thing that I would definitely...
You also mentioned from the parents' perspective, the guidance bit. Is there something you would want to talk about?
So like, again, I talk to my son a lot about his feelings. So, there are times, this thing happened. My first question to him is, how are you feeling? But going back to it, I think I want to go back to my father-in-law and the way he was. I'm not giving excuses for him, but I know for a fact that his way of being was all about protection. He wanted to protect his children, his people, his family. Of course, I was an outsider, which he could never gather that, I'm also his family. But because of that sense of protection, he was the way he was, right? That's a mistake that we are making now, that we are so protective to our children. I often say that our next generation is going to curse us for being so protective, right? We become so protective, and then when they want to break loose, then we say, "Arey, ऐसे कैसे?" उनको कुछ सिखा नहीं रहे हैं हम. We are not letting them be. We are not letting them fail. But we want to control them, and when they don't want to be controlled, then we have a problem with them. ये तो गलत है. So, that's again something as parents, I think we need to do differently. I don't think we're doing a good job of that as parents. So, गिरता है तो गिरने दो ना, उठ जाएगा. उस समय उसे पूछ, how are you feeling? I think that would be a good idea.
And what about the women? Like you said, you spoke about immersing in the feeling.
Yeah.
You spoke about how parents need to be with their children. What else would your voice be? Well, anybody who's going through something.
So again, a lot of times we feel that as women, we need to protect our children. So I can't break out because of my children. Okay, I have to be there for my children. As a woman or as a man, as anybody, you can't help anybody unless you are sorted with yourself. You're doing more damage to your children by staying in that toxicity. You are literally, making them grow up too soon. That, like I said, this is my regret. Then maybe if I had taken a step sooner, my son won't be as the angry young man that he is today. Okay? Maybe he wouldn't be the person who wants to achieve so much so soon and burn himself out right now. He's just 25, but I can see he's burnt out. Okay? Because he wants to achieve everything because he wants to show his father. So, first be, okay with yourself, and then think about your child. Your child will be fine if you're fine. I don't think we are even giving ourselves that liberty to say that he will be fine or he will not be fine because I'm not fine. Yeah, so I think as parents, again, as parents, we need to be sure. If you are in a toxic marriage, man or woman, have the courage to say that this is toxic. Have the courage to say that it's not going to be good for anyone.
Anybody involved, including the perpetrator, the victim, and the product. And Deepti, because I used to be asked this question, I come from a very different background of this, but there were women who would come and say, "Aap bolna aasan hai." Now the thing is, we'll do a little, it just on the spot, suddenly I thought of something, and then we'll end with this. I am now going to come to somebody like you. I'm going through something like this, and I know the questions. Help me navigate, okay? I'm going through something similar. Now I have a small child. Deepti, I've heard, it starts now. Deepti, I've heard that you've done all this. Deepti, my husband is cheating on me and he is hitting me at home, but I have a child and I'm not working. And I'm very scared and I won't get any support. Yeah. So मैं क्या करूँ? मतलब मैं कहाँ लेके जाऊँ बच्चे को? What's your answer to this?
So my answer, this is a difficult one because when you don't have support, there are two things here. One, there has to be a friend that you can work with.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. There has to be a friend. For some time, you will need to save yourself. If the marriage is at a point where you fear for your safety, okay, and the safety of your child, you need to get out of there, stay with a friend for some time, and move on, or reach out to an NGO. I know all this sounds very daunting, but reach out to an NGO. We have groups that are there to help out. and I'm not talking about NGOs only. We have other social groups, support groups that are there to help out. Second thing, you have to get a job. There's no two ways about it.
Finance.
Yes, finances, and that's one thing that I'm always talking about with every post that comes on Gurgaon Moms. Every person that I meet, please be financially independent. It's not just that your husband is going to be bad and he's going to beat you and everything. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, tomorrow you're walking on the road and you lose your husband. Yeah. No, he doesn't get lost, but he just packs up and dies. So then what do you do? Right? It happens.
And I think I would like to add to this. These three things are actually the most feasible. But here's a plea and an appeal to the society in general. That if a woman is going through something, help mat karo. Uske face pe na usko comments or judgment bhi mat maro. Because then what? That's where the fear rises, no? लोग क्या कहेंगे and all that bullshit begins from there because लोग बोल रहे हैं, आज भी बोल रहे हैं, 2023 में ही बोल रहे हैं. So you step out, mind your goddamn business, yeah. Let the woman be. She's managing on her own. She has hands, she has feet, she has a child here, she's walking alone. You can't help her. Don't push her down. People do that. People do that too. Then you retreat back. And then the shit continues.
Yeah, it does.
So I know it'll take a while because one by one he change hoga, but this also needs to change.
Also now, what I'm going to say now is against all Nari Mukti Morcha type of thing. But at a point where you feel that your child is safe, okay? Maybe not mentally secure, but is safe physically. And you need to step out, go do your stuff and come back to retrieve him. I think that is fine. Take that time where you know that the child is okay, he will be fine, but let me get my house in place, a place which is safe for him in place, get myself a job and come back for him. Yes, that's possible. And I know it's going to be a tough legal battle after that, but it will happen.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Nothing else is worth it.
Yeah. Because you have that purpose that this is what I'm doing it for. So you'll do it harder.
Yes, I know. We kind of share similar stories.
Yeah.
I have been there a long time ago. And by the way, the person that you're with right now, I'm married to. We just wanted to say,
That's lovely. Yeah. And it helps.
It does.
Yeah.
When you become clear, then you attract the right kind of people in your life.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any closing?
I'm just going to look at.
Yeah,
I made some notes.
And then we'll wrap.
I've talked about this thing. Okay.
Your final message or something?
I think my final message was more to do with validation. Like I've said that I do still seek validation, but I wouldn't say validation, but I do seek appreciation. I do feel that if I get appreciated for how I look and how I'm doing, it helps. But when you're with a partner whose validation means everything to you and you're ready to change your being for that partner, be it a man or a woman, then you've got to reconsider that partnership, that relationship. And you've got to start questioning yourself that why am I changing myself and changing my being for that one person? I need to be enough for whoever I am with, whether romantically or in a business or any other this thing. I need to be enough. And if I'm not, screw you, first thing, and then I'm going to do something about it. Yeah?
Awesome. I am enough. Thank you. Kick ass. Kick ass. Thank you. Thank you.